What is up, guys? It's Eric from Rare Candy, and today we're back with yet another Guardians Rising deck profile. This time we're going to be taking a look at a quad Tapu Lele Wobbuffet type of deck. I don't know what you want to call this thing, but basically it's going to be a deck centered around Wobbuffet and the new Tapu Lele GX that is in Guardians Rising. So that's going to be what we're taking a look at. Typically, Tapu Lele has been getting hype as a support Pokemon, but we're going to try it out and see how it can maybe function as an attacker as well. So let's see what is going to make this deck tick. So first of all, for Wobbuffet, we're playing this guy because of its Bide Barricade ability. So as long as he's your active Pokemon, all non-psychic types have no ability. So this is actually an extremely powerful card in the game right now because Vileplume is so popular at the time of filming. So you can shut off Vileplume, Decidueye. Also, if you start with it, it means your opponents can't bench their Shaymins. Well, they can technically bench him, but they can't use its setup ability. So it's just a very strong Pokemon to open with, very disruptive. We are playing Psychic Energy in this deck too, so we can attack with Wobbuffet as well. Has Psychic Assault, 10 plus 10 more for every damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's a decent little attack. It has some synergy with Tapu Lele since we are going to be two-shotting our opponents most of the time. But typically we rather attack with our Tapu Lele, but the attack is decent. So yeah, Wobbuffet's just all around solid. 110 hit points, 2 retreat cost, a little pesky, but we do have things to get around that as well. But he's going to be what we plan to open with ideally. So next up, the other key component of the deck is going to be 3 Tapu Lele GX. So Tapu Lele GX is one of the most hyped new Pokemon from Sun and Moon Guardians Rising. We actually talked about a lot in our set review, so if you want to check that out, I'll put a link to that as well. But yeah, so it's mainly, I think, been seeing most of its attention due to its Wonder Tag ability. So whenever you bench Tapu Lele GX from your hand, you search your deck for a supporter and put it into your hand. So this is basically like the old Jirachi EX. A lot of people have been excited for this guy because it has this great ability, but it has a lot more HP than the old Jirachi did. It also has no weakness as well, which is great. But we're also taking a look at it for its attack energy drive. For just 2 colorless energy, it does 20 damage times the amount of energy on both active Pokemon. So this is going to be kind of like the main attack we're going to use in this deck. It's going to be kind of like the old Mewtwo EX or Lugia EX. You know, basically the same attack as those guys. So we're going to be, going to try to open with Wobbuffet, just kind of lead the game, and then power up our Tapu Lele's to start attacking more aggressively on maybe the second and third turns of the game. And then a little less relevant, it has the Tapu Cure GX attack. Heal all damage from 2 of your bench Pokemon. You can only use 1 GX move per game as usual, but this can be kind of good if we are playing against some decks that have to two-shot us. We can potentially, heal off all that damage our opponent did to us and kind of make their attacks go in vain. But yeah, so it's just a great card too because not only is it a solid attacker, and typically most people are playing 1 Lele in their list that I've seen so far. But it's just always great, since we're playing 3 Lele, to always have an out to whatever supporter that you want to. And it's one of those things, once you start testing a deck where you play 3 Lele, you really just feel powerful. I guess that's the easiest way to describe it. It's so cool just to have access to whatever supporter you want pretty much most of the time. So that's kind of like the key components of this deck. Next up, we have 1 Tapu Koko. This is the non-GX one. It's technically not in Guardians Rising, but it is going to be coming out in a like a box, I believe, around the time of Guardians Rising. So I felt like it'd be okay to put this in here. And we're running it for its first attack. I don't know what it is, what it's called, but it does 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So this can be cool because we can soften up a lot of our opponent's Pokemon and then kind of clean up with a big powered up Tapu Lele. Also has free retreat as well, so if we don't start with our Wobbuffet and we start with this guy, we can easily retreat into that if we want to maybe lock our opponent's abilities. But I'm mainly using it for the attack, just to soften up some of our opponent's Pokemon if need be. You could debatably cut this for maybe a 4th Lele even, or just cut it for something else entirely. But I was like, you know what, let's try this guy out. It's a new card in the set. We'll see how it does. But definitely, I think, a little bit of a luxury card in this list. But feel free to try it out and see how it works for you. And the last of the Pokemon is going to be one Shaymin EX just for the setup ability as usual. So whenever you bench Shaymin from your hand, you get to draw until you have 6 cards. Should be pretty familiar with this guy. We're only playing one just because Wobbuffet does shut off the abilities for non-psychic Pokemon, and Tapu Lele can usually get us a supporter or a way to draw cards. But nevertheless, there are going to be some turns where we do want to dig maybe a little deeper in our deck to dig for something to help us take a knockout, or something to help complete our strategy. So still going to play one Shaymin just for that. So moving on to the supporters, we're playing 3 Sycamore and 3 N. Pretty straightforward, guys. Our typical draw supporters: discard your hand, draw 7, and then shuffle each player's hand in their deck and draws equal to their prizes. Pretty straightforward, like I said, but we're also going to be playing 1 Lillie. So draw until you have 6 cards in your hand, but if you play it on your first turn, you get to draw until you have 8. And one reason Lillie hasn't really seen a whole lot of play is just because it's very situational. Its usual effect of draw until you have 6 is usually just outclassed by Sycamore or N in most cases. And typically, you'd have to play several counts of these in your deck to have decent odds of even drawing it on your first turn. But with Tapu Lele, it's so easy just to grab turn 1 Lillie. Like, I have access to this card almost every single game I've tested with this deck. So it's just such a strong card if you are guaranteed access to it. And that's kind of how I'm building the supporter line of this deck. Is I was thinking to myself, what cards are good but you very rarely have access to them? Like kind of those one-of supporters that you love to have, but maybe sometimes you cut them out of your list because they're hard to draw at just the right time. And Lillie is definitely one of those cards. So next up, we also have 1 Professor Kukui. It's kind of another one of those cards like I was just describing. It's definitely good when you can draw into it when you need it, but sometimes it's hard to make that happen since most decks are only going to play 1. But it lets you draw 2 cards and your opponent, not your opponent, but your Pokemon do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon during your turn. So there's going to be a lot of times we have a bunch of energy on our Tapu Leles, and we might be just a little bit short of taking a knockout, and that's where Professor Kukui is really going to come in handy. So again, it's just another card that's really good if you're guaranteed to have access to it whenever you want. So 2 Lysandre up next. Pretty self-explanatory. You get to choose what we want to take knockouts on. And the last supporter is going to be another one of those kind of luxury one-of supporters that you typically don't play because they're hard to draw into. And that's going to be 1 Delinquent. So discard a Stadium in play, and then your opponent discards 3 cards from their hand as well. So a well-timed Delinquent can really just crush your opponent and kick them out of the game. So again, it's another one of those cards a lot of decks I think struggle to find space for other than disruption decks. But here, like I said, if we are guaranteed to have access to it with our Tapu Leles, it seems like a very strong card to have in the list. Okay, so next up, we're playing 4 versus Secret, just to reuse all those supporters we just talked about. 4 Ultra Ball to search for any Pokemon that we want. 4 Trainer's Mail, again, just another common consistency card. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, you get a trainer card you find there. 4 Max Elixir, so look at the top 6 cards of your deck, get a basic energy you find there, and attach it to one of your benched basic Pokemon. So we're going to use this to try to power up our Tapu Lele GX and get as much energy as possible on it so we can take big one-hit knockouts potentially with its energy drive attack. Next up, we have 3 Choice Bands. It's going to be another new cards from Guardians Rising. It's a tool card, and the Pokemon it's attached to does 30 more damage to EXs and GXs. So between Max Elixirs, Choice Bands, and Professor Kukui's, we can make our Tapu Leles hit for some pretty big numbers. Next up, 2 Escape Rope. So each player switches their active with one of their bench Pokemon. It's going to be a form of retreating for the deck. Also helps you get around things like Jolteon EX potentially. So there's going to be a lot of times where we might have a Tapu Lele active and we might want to get it on the bench and still attack with it in the same turn. So maybe let's say we've been attacking with a Tapu Lele, we can Escape Rope, promote something else like a Wobbuffet, or maybe this Tapu Koko with free retreat, Max Elixir onto it, and then retreat back into it to keep attacking. So that's kind of the uses for the card. And And, you know, just if our opponent Lysandre or something, we have a way to switch out the active spot too. So next up we have a copy of Field Blower, another super hyped card from Guardians Rising. I think this deck is basically just like every hyped card from Guardians Rising, basically. Tapu Lele, Choice Band, and Field Blower are probably like the, I guess, like most defining cards, I feel like. But anyways, that's kind of a different tangent to get on. But new card from Guardians Rising, like I said, you discard up to 2 stadiums or tool cards and play, yours or your opponent, so we can get rid of our opponent's choice bands or field blowers or stadiums. I think it's just going to be a common card you're going to start to see in a lot of lists going forward. So 1 super odd to shuffle 3 Pokemon or basic energy from our discard pile back into our deck. So it's usually going to be to help us abuse Max Elixir to its fullest potential. If we have to discard some energy, we can get them back into the deck to increase our chances of Max Elixirs working. Next up we have 3 Altar of the Moon. It's a new stadium card from Guardians Rising, and it gives 2 less retreat to any Pokemon with dark or psychic energy attached to it, which is perfect. It's going to allow all our Pokemon to retreat for free as long as you have 1 psychic energy attached. So, like I said, you can do some plays with Escape Rope where if our Wobbuffet has, you know, energy attached to it and we have Tapu Lele active, we can Escape Rope into Wob, and then Max Elixir a bunch and retreat Wob back into our Tapu Lele. So it's just to give our board more mobility and free retreat. So moving on to our energies, we have 4 double Colorless energy, just because Tapu Lele can attack for double Colorless. And we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Psychic energy. So we're playing a good bit of Psychic energy just to make sure we always can hit them off our Max Elixirs if possible. But yeah, guys, that is going to be a look at this Tapu Lele GX deck. I feel like any deck really at the moment with Wobbuffet can potentially be good, just because Wobbuffet is a great card at the moment in the current metagame. And, you know, like I said, Tapu Lele has kind of been hyped as a support Pokemon, but we're going to see how it works as a attacking, you know, offensive Pokemon as well. And actually, if you haven't seen yet, we did post a recorded match showing off this deck in action. So if you want to see how this deck actually does work and function against another deck, I'll be sure to put a link somewhere so you guys can check that out as well. So yeah, it's going to be, like I said, an early look at this Tapu Lele deck. And as usual with these early deck profiles, they're usually kind of rough early starting points for us to start testing with. So there might be some things in this list we can change. So maybe in the comments below, let us know what you guys think about this deck. If there's anything you guys would take out or change, feel free to let us know. We love hearing your feedback. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. Stay tuned to the channel. We have a ton of Guardians Rising content coming. So all sorts of new decks to take a look at. But as usual, feel free to like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merchandise at rarecandytcg.com. If you can pick up something to help support the channel, it'd mean a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you for the next one.